Somewhere out there, hanging in the dark between galaxies, there is a structure so vast that the rules we trust most can barely hold it. Our newest eye in space looked deep into the early universe and found something that, by every model we have written, should not have had the time to grow this large. A wall of galaxies. A pattern stretching across distances your mind cannot fold itself around. And it was already there when the cosmos was young. Tonight we drift toward it slowly, together. If this quiet kind of wonder helps you breathe a little deeper, stay a while, leave a gentle like, and subscribe so we can keep wandering the dark together. And before we begin, softly, where are you listening from, and what hour glows on your clock tonight? Let the room hold you for a moment before we go anywhere at all. The walls around you, the ceiling above you, the soft, dark gathering in the corners where the light does not quite reach. Feel the weight of yourself against whatever holds you, the mattress, the cushion, the floor, the simple and reliable fact of gravity doing its patient work, pressing you gently down into the place you have chosen to rest. Outside the window there is darkness, the ordinary darkness of night, the kind you have known your whole life. And somewhere past that darkness, far past the roof and the street and the curve of the horizon, there is more darkness, deeper and older and stranger than anything you will ever touch. We are going to travel toward that deeper dark tonight. Slowly, gently. There is no hurry in any of this, because the thing we are going to find has been waiting for billions of years, and it will keep waiting a little longer while you settle in. So loosen your shoulders. Let your breath find its own slow rhythm. And let me begin, as all good journeys begin, not with the destination, but with the ground beneath our feet. Here is something worth knowing before we go any further. Everything we understand about the universe, every map we have ever drawn of the cosmos, rests on a single quiet assumption, not a fact, not a law carved into the bones of reality. An assumption, a kind of gentle faith that scientists agreed to hold, because without it, nothing else could be understood at all. And tonight, very slowly, we are going to trace what happens when something appears in the sky that may not fit that faith. But that comes later. For now, let us simply understand the faith itself. Imagine you are standing in a field. Not a small field with fences and a farmhouse at the edge, but an enormous one, flat and endless, stretching in every direction until it meets the sky. The grass is even. The ground is even. Wherever you look, near or far, the field looks more or less the same. There is no center to this field. There is no edge that you can see. You could walk for a day in any direction and the view would barely change. The same gentle green rolling away from you on all sides. And here is the important part. If someone else was standing in this same field, miles away from you, in a place you cannot see, they would look around and find exactly what you found. The same evenness, the same horizon, the same quiet sense that they too were standing in the middle of something with no middle at all. This is the idea. This is the assumption that holds up the whole of modern cosmology, and it has a name that sounds far grander than the simple thought behind it. It is called the cosmological principle. And what it says, stripped of all its mathematics and all its careful language, is something almost childlike in its plainness. It says that the universe, when you zoom out far enough, is the same everywhere. The same in every direction. No special place, no center, no edge, no throne at the heart of creation, where things are different from everywhere else. Just the same vast evenness, repeating and repeating, out to distances your mind cannot fold itself around. Let that sit for a moment, because it is a stranger idea than it first appears. Think about how it feels to be a person standing on the earth, looking up. It feels like you are somewhere. It feels like here is special, like this spot, this room, this small warm pocket of the world is the center of everything, because it is the center of everything you have ever known. For most of human history, people believed exactly this. They believed the earth sat at the heart of all things, with the sun and the stars wheeling politely around it, paying their respects to the place where we happen to live. It was a comfortable belief. It made us important. It made the cosmos feel like a great hall built around a single small fire, and we were the ones gathered close to the warmth. And then, slowly, painfully, over centuries, we learned that this was not true. We learned that the Earth was not the center. The Sun was not the center. Our galaxy, that vast river of 200 billion stars we call the Milky Way, was not the center either. Every time we drew a circle and placed ourselves at the heart of it, we looked harder and found that the circle was not a circle at all, and that we were not at the heart of anything. We were simply somewhere, one place among countless places, one small warm pocket of light in a dark that does not end. This was a humbling, and it took a long time, and it cost some people a great deal to say out loud. But out of that humbling came the cosmological principle, and you can almost hear the relief in it, the exhausted wisdom of a species that finally stopped trying to be special. If we are not the center, the thinking went, then perhaps there is no center. And if there is no center, then perhaps every place is, in the ways that matter, the same as every other place. Perhaps the universe has no favorite spot. Perhaps it is, on the largest scales, smooth, even, fair. Now I want to be careful here, because the word same can be misleading, and the truth is gentler and more interesting than the word suggests. When cosmologists say the universe is the same everywhere, they do not mean that every patch of space contains an identical arrangement of stars, like wallpaper printed with the same pattern over and over. Of course not. Look up on a clear night, and you will see that the sky is not even at all. There are bright stars and dim ones, crowded regions and empty ones. The milky smear of our own galaxy stretched across the dark like spilled light. Up close, the universe is lumpy. It is full of texture and clumping and structure. There are stars, and stars gather into galaxies, and galaxies gather into clusters, and clusters gather into superclusters, and these in turn arrange themselves along vast threads and sheets with great dark voids between them. Up close, the cosmos is anything but smooth. So, what do cosmologists actually mean? They mean something subtler. They mean that if you stop looking at the small lumps and start looking at enormous regions hundreds of millions of light years across, regions so large that a single galaxy is less than a grain of sand within them, then the lumpiness begins to average out. The crowded places and the empty places start to balance. And if you compare one of these enormous regions to another enormous region somewhere else entirely, you should find that they contain, on average, about the same amount of stuff, arranged in about the same statistical way, not identical, but equivalent. The same in the way that two handfuls of sand from the same beach are the same, even though no two grains are alike. Return to the field for a moment. Look down at your feet. The grass there is not uniform. There are tall blades and short ones, a dandelion here, a bare patch of dirt there, a beetle making its slow way across a leaf. Up close, the ground is full of difference, but step back. Lift your eyes to the whole field rolling out to the horizon, and all that small difference dissolves into a single even green. The dandelion vanishes, the bare patch vanishes. What remains is smoothness, sameness, a field that looks the same here, as it does a mile away. This is the cosmological principle. The universe is lumpy in the small and smooth in the large, and the largeness at which it finally smooths out is one of the most important numbers in all of science. Because here is the quiet thing, the thing we will keep returning to as the night goes on. That number, the scale at which the lumps are supposed to vanish into smoothness, is not infinite. It is large, almost unimaginably large, but it has a size. There is a point, the cosmologists believe, beyond which no single structure should be allowed to grow. A ceiling, a limit. Above that limit, the universe is supposed to surrender its lumpiness and become even, become fair, become the same in all directions, just as the field becomes even green when you lift your eyes high enough. And what holds it all up, this entire scaffolding of understanding, is faith. I keep using that word, and I want you to notice it because it matters. The cosmological principle has never been proven. It cannot be proven, not in any final way, because we can only ever see the universe from one place, from here, from this single small pocket of light. We cannot step outside the cosmos and walk to another field, a billion light years away, and check whether it looks the same as ours. We are stuck where we are, peering out from our one vantage point, and from that one vantage point we have decided to believe that all the other vantage points would show us roughly the same thing. It is a beautiful kind of faith, when you think about it. A humble faith. It says we are not special, and it asks us to trust that the parts of the universe we cannot see are kind enough, ordinary enough, to behave like the parts we can. Without this faith, cosmology cannot function. If we could not assume that the distant universe behaves like the near one, then nothing we measure here would tell us anything about there, and the whole project of understanding the cosmos would collapse into a single lonely point of light surrounded by unknowable dark. The cosmological principle is what lets us reach beyond ourselves. It is the bridge we built so that what we see here can speak for everywhere. So we believe it. We have believed it for the better part of a century, and we have built our greatest theories upon it. Theories that describe how the universe began, and how it grew, and how it will end, all resting on this one gentle assumption that space is fair, that no place is special, that the field is even all the way to the horizon and beyond. And for a long time the universe seemed content to agree with us. Every time we looked, the evenness held. We mapped great swaths of the sky, counted galaxies by the millions, measured the faint afterglow of the cosmos itself, that ancient light left over from the very beginning, and again the numbers came back smooth. Fair, the same in all directions, just as the principle promised. The faith was rewarded. The map we had drawn before we could truly see turned out, when we finally could see, to be mostly right. Mostly, and here is where I have to slow down, because this is the seed of everything that follows, and I want to plant it gently, without alarm, the way you would set a small stone on a windowsill to find again later. There is a difference between mostly and entirely. There is a difference between a faith that has been rewarded and a faith that has never once been troubled. And in recent years, peering into the deep and ancient dark, into regions of space so far away that their light has been traveling toward us since before the Earth was formed, astronomers have begun to find a few things. A few shapes, a few patterns, structures so vast that they seem to press against the ceiling we believed the universe had agreed to honor. Structures that, by the numbers, should not have had the room to exist, the time to form, the permission to grow as large as they have grown. I am not going to show them to you yet. We are not ready. To understand why these shapes are so unsettling, you first have to understand how we measure such distances at all. how we weigh things we can never touch, how we learn to read the past written into ancient light. That is where we are going next, patiently, one step at a time. For now, I only want you to hold the shape of the question in your mind as you rest. We built a map of the universe on the faith that it is the same everywhere, that no place is special, that the field is even to the horizon. And then we looked very far away into the young cosmos, and we may have found a place that is not the same, a structure that breaks the evenness, a lump that should have dissolved into smoothness long ago but did not, a thing so large it sits at the very edge of what our theories will allow, and perhaps a little beyond. Maybe it is a mistake in how we looked. Maybe it is a rare accident, the kind of strange coincidence that a big enough universe is bound to produce now and then. Or maybe, and this is the possibility that keeps the quiet ones awake, maybe the faith itself needs revising. Maybe the field is not as even as we believed. Maybe somewhere out there the universe kept a secret we are only now beginning to read. But that is for later. For now, let the question rest beside you like the small stone on the windowsill. Let it be there without weight, without worry. We have a long and gentle way to go before we reach the thing itself, and every step of the journey is its own quiet wonder. Tonight we are simply learning the shape of the map, the faith that drew it, and the first soft hint that the map might not hold. Breathe. The dark outside your window is the same dark that holds those distant structures, the same dark that has carried their ancient light across half the age of the universe to reach the small place where you are resting now. There is no hurry. The map has waited 100 years to be questioned. The structures have waited billions to be seen. They can wait a little longer while we learn together how to look. Let us begin this part with something close to you, closer than the stars, closer than the room. Hold up the simple fact of your own seeing, the quiet miracle that happens every time you open your eyes. When you look at the lamp across the room, you are not really seeing the lamp. You are seeing light that left the lamp and traveled across the air and entered your eye. The lamp sends its light, and a tiny moment later, so small you could never feel it, that light arrives in you and becomes the image of a lamp. You are always, in every moment of your life, seeing things not quite as they are now, but as they were a heartbeat ago, when the light first left them and began its journey toward you. For things close by, that delay is nothing. Light is fast, faster than anything else in the universe, fast enough to circle the whole Earth 7 times in a single second. So when you look across a room, the light reaches you so quickly that the past it carries is no past at all. The lamp you see is, for all purposes, the lamp as it is right now. But hold on to this idea, this gentle truth that all seeing is the reception of light that has traveled, because as we leave the room and move outward into the dark, that delay is going to grow and grow and grow until it becomes the most important fact in the whole of our story. This is the first tool we need tonight, the understanding that to look out into space is to look back into time. That distance and the past are, in the cosmos, the same thing wearing 2 faces. Let us take a step outward. Look at the moon. The light you see when you look at the moon left it a little over 1 second ago. So the moon you see is the moon as it was 1 second in the past. A tiny delay, but no longer nothing. Now look at the sun, though never directly, only in your mind. The light from the sun takes about 8 minutes to reach us, which means that if the sun were to simply vanish, to blink out of existence in an instant, you would not know for 8 whole minutes. You would go on feeling its warmth, seeing its light, living inside a sunbeam from a star that was already gone. The sun you see is always the sun of 8 minutes ago. You have never once seen the sun as it is. No one has, no one can. Sit with that for a moment, because it is the gentlest possible introduction to the strangeness ahead. Already, just by stepping from the room to the sun, we have found that seeing is remembering, that the sky is a kind of memory, that to look up is to look into a past we cannot change and cannot reach, written in light that left long ago and only now arrives. Now we go further, and the numbers begin to stretch past the size of ordinary words. The nearest star beyond our sun is so far away that its light takes more than 4 years to reach us. 4 years. The light entering your eye from that star tonight left it when you were 4 years younger, when your life was a different shape, when things had not yet happened that have since happened. And that is the nearest star, the closest neighbor in a galaxy of 200 billion. To speak of such distances at all, we need a different kind of word, because miles and kilometers become useless here. The numbers so enormous, they turn into meaningless strings of zeros. So we measure distance not in length but in time. We measure it in how long the light has traveled, and we call the distance that light covers in a single year a light year. Hold that phrase carefully, because people hear it often and rarely feel it. A light year is not a measure of time, though it sounds like one. It is a measure of distance, the distance light crosses in a year of constant traveling, never resting, never slowing, moving at the only speed it knows. And light is so fast that in 1 year it covers a distance so vast that if you try to count it out in miles, you would be reading numbers aloud long after you had fallen asleep. 1 light year is already beyond comfortable imagining, and the universe, as we will see, is measured in billions of them. Let me try to give you something to hold, because the numbers alone will slip through your fingers. Imagine that the distance from the Earth to the Sun, that 8-minute journey of light, is shrunk down to the width of a single grain of sand. On that scale, the nearest star would be another grain of sand, sitting roughly 4 miles away. Our entire galaxy, the whole Milky Way with its 200 billion stars, would still be larger than the actual distance between real cities. And the galaxy is only the beginning. Beyond it lie other galaxies, billions of them, scattered through a dark so deep that the light between them takes not years but millions and billions of years to cross. On the grain of sand scale, the visible universe would be larger than the real Earth itself. We have shrunk the sun to a speck, and still the cosmos overflows every container we try to pour it into. So this is the second tool. Not just that seeing is looking back in time, but that the distances involved are so vast that a single galaxy, a thing containing hundreds of billions of suns, is itself nothing more than a grain of sand against the whole, a breath against a lifetime, a single blink against all the years you will ever live. When you next picture our galaxy, that great glowing river of stars, I want you to also picture how small it is, how easily it disappears. Because in what is coming, even galaxies will be the small things. The grains, the specks, and the structures we find will be made of them the way a beach is made of sand. Now, how do we actually measure these distances? This is where the real cleverness lives, and it is worth slowing down for, because the methods are as beautiful as the things they measure. We cannot stretch a tape across the cosmos. We cannot walk to a distant galaxy and pace out the journey. We are stuck here, in our one small place, and yet somehow we have learned to weigh things we can never touch, to measure the unreachable from the comfort of a single planet. We did it by being patient, and by being clever, and by listening very carefully to light. For the nearer stars, we use a trick your own eyes already know. Hold up a finger at arm's length and look at it first with one eye, then the other. The finger seems to jump against the background. That jump is called parallax, and it happens because each eye sees from a slightly different position. The closer the finger, the bigger the jump. Astronomers do the same thing with stars, except their two eyes are the Earth on opposite sides of its orbit around the Sun, separated by a vast distance, and they watch how the nearby stars seem to shift against the distant ones across the months. From the size of that shift, they calculate the distance. It is the same trick your two eyes play, scaled up to the width of a planet's path around its star. But parallax only reaches so far. For the truly distant objects, the galaxies and the structures we are traveling toward, the jump becomes too small to see, and we need something else. We need light itself to tell us how far it has come. And here, the universe gives us an extraordinary gift, one that is going to matter enormously before our night is through. As light travels across the expanding cosmos, the very space it moves through is stretching, growing larger with time. And as that space stretches, it stretches the light along with it, pulling its waves longer, shifting its color toward the red end of the spectrum. The farther the light has traveled, the more the space it crossed has stretched, and so the redder the light becomes by the time it reaches us. We call this redshift, and it is, in a quiet way, one of the most powerful tools we have. By measuring how much a galaxy's light has been reddened, how much it has been stretched on its long journey, we can calculate how far that light has traveled, and therefore how far away the galaxy is, and therefore how long ago its light began the trip toward our waiting eyes. Do you feel how everything connects? The stretching of space tells us the distance. The distance tells us the time. So when we measure the redshift of a galaxy and find that its light is very stretched, very red, we learn two things in a single breath. We learn that it is very far away, and we learn that we are seeing it as it was very long ago, because its light has been traveling toward us for so much of the universe's life that the thing we see is not the thing as it is now, but the thing as it was when the cosmos was young. The deepest red light comes from the youngest universe. To look out at the farthest things is to look back at the earliest times. The most distant galaxies we can see are not just far away in space. They are far away in age, glimpsed as they were billions of years ago, when the universe itself was a fraction of its present span. This is why our newest and most powerful eyes in space cause such excitement. When we build a telescope sensitive enough to gather very faint, very red, very stretched light, we are not only building a tool that sees farther, we are building a time machine, an instrument that lets us look at the universe not as it is, but as it was in its deep youth. Billions of years before any of this, before the Earth, before the Sun, before the field and the room and the breath that holds you now. We point these instruments at the deep dark, and they gather the most ancient light there is, and they show us the cosmos in its childhood. And it is there, in that childhood, in that deep and ancient dark, that the unsettling shapes begin to appear. But we are not there yet. We have one more tool to gather first, and it is the most important of them all, because it is the one that the strange shapes will press against. It is the ceiling, the limit, the number we mentioned at the close of our first part, the size beyond which no single structure is supposed to grow. It has a name, and the name is plainer than it sounds. It is called the homogeneity scale. Homogeneity simply means sameness, evenness, the quality of being uniform throughout, like milk that has been blended so thoroughly that every drop is the same as every other. The homogeneity scale is the size at which the universe finally becomes homogeneous, the size at which the lumps stop. Remember the field. Up close, the ground is full of difference, the tall grass and the short, the dandelion and the bare patch. But lift your eyes high enough and all that difference blurs into even green. The homogeneity scale is the height at which you have to lift your eyes before the cosmos goes even green. Below that scale, The universe is lumpy, full of stars and galaxies and clusters, and the great threads and voids between them. Above that scale, the lumps are supposed to vanish into smoothness, and one giant region should look just like any other. And how big is that scale? Here is the number to hold gently as you rest. The homogeneity scale, the size at which the universe is supposed to surrender its lumpiness and become even, is usually placed at a few 100 million light years. Let me say that again. Slowly, because it is the most important measurement in everything that follows. A few 100 million light years. That is the ceiling. That is the height to which you must lift your eyes before the field goes smooth. Take any region larger than that, anywhere in the cosmos, and it should contain about the same amount of matter arranged about the same way as any other region of equal size. No single structure, no single arrangement of galaxies should be able to stretch itself larger than this and still hold together as one coherent thing. The lumps are supposed to stop. The smoothness is supposed to begin. That is what the cosmological principle promises, and that promise has a size, and the size is a few 100 million light years. Now feel the weight of all the tools we have gathered, because they are about to be used. We know that to look far is to look back in time. We know that even a galaxy is a grain of sand, a single breath against the vastness. We know how to measure these distances by listening to the reddening of ancient light. And we know that there is a ceiling, a limit, a few 100 million light years above which no structure should be able to grow, because past that height the universe is supposed to go smooth and even and fair, the same in all directions, with no special place and no favorite spot. Hold all of that in your mind at once, the grain of sand, the reddened light, the ceiling at a few 100 million light years. And then ask yourself the question that the rest of our night is built around, the question that troubles the quiet ones, the question we planted like a small stone on the windowsill and are now ready to begin turning over in the dark. What if we looked into the deep and ancient cosmos, into the universe's own childhood, using our newest and most powerful eyes, and we found something larger than the ceiling, not a little larger, not a stone's throw past the limit, but many times larger, a structure of galaxies stretching not a few 100 million light years, but billions, a single coherent shape so vast that you could lay the entire homogeneity scale across it again and again and still not reach the other side, a lump that refused to smooth out, a thing that, by every tool we have just gathered, should not be able to exist as one connected structure in a universe that is supposed to be fair. We have found such things, more than one, and they are waiting for us in the deep dark, exactly where the youngest light comes from. But not yet. Rest a little longer. You have learned how to weigh the unreachable tonight, how to read the past in reddened light, how to feel the smallness of a galaxy and the size of the ceiling that no structure should cross. These are the tools. In the next part, we will finally use them. We will turn our newest eye toward the ancient dark, and we will look at the first of the shapes that should not be there, and we will measure it together, slowly, and let its true size settle over us, like the quiet of the late hour settling over you now. The ceiling is a few 100 million light years. Remember that. Carry it with you into the dark, because what comes next is so much larger, and the distance between what should be and what is exactly where our wonder is going to live. Now we are ready to look. Settle yourself one more time. Let your breath slow and come with me into the deep dark, because we are finally going to turn our eyes toward the first of the shapes that should not be there. To find it, we have to understand a problem, and the problem is darkness itself. The structures we are hunting tonight are made of galaxies, and galaxies, you would think, are bright. They glow. They are made of billions of stars pouring light into the void. So you might imagine that finding a vast structure of galaxies would be the easiest thing in the world. You point your telescope at the right patch of sky, and there it is, a great curve of light hanging in the dark, waiting to be seen. But it is not so simple, and the reason is distance. Remember how far we have to look. The structure we are tracing tonight sits so deep in the cosmos that its light has been traveling toward us for the better part of the universe's life. Across that unthinkable gulf, even whole galaxies dim to almost nothing, their light spread so thin by the journey that they fade into the faint background hum of everything else. You cannot simply look at this structure and see it glowing. It is too far, too faint, too lost in the crowded dark. If you pointed even a very good telescope at that patch of sky and waited, you would not see a great curve announcing itself. You would see scattered, ordinary points of light, and you would have no way of knowing that some of them belonged together, that they formed a single shape billions of light years across. So how do you find something you cannot see? This is where the cleverness lives, and it is the kind of cleverness that feels almost like a magic trick once you understand it, a way of seeing the invisible by the shadow it casts. The answer begins with the brightest things in the universe. Out in the deep cosmos, there are objects called quasars, and a quasar is something almost beyond belief. At the heart of certain distant galaxies there sits a black hole, not an ordinary one, but a monster with the mass of millions or billions of suns. And as matter spirals down into that black hole, falling toward the point of no return, it heats up and crowds together and blazes with such ferocity that it outshines the entire galaxy around it. A single quasar can pour out more light than hundreds of billions of stars combined. They are the most luminous, steady objects in all of creation, beacons so bright that we can see them across nearly the whole width of the observable universe, their light reaching us from a time when the cosmos was very young. Now hold that picture. A quasar blazing in the deep distance, a lighthouse at the far edge of the visible universe, shining its light across billions of light years toward our small waiting world. And between that quasar and us lies a vast stretch of space, and scattered through that space are galaxies and clusters of galaxies and great clouds of gas drifting in the dark. The quasar's light has to pass through all of it on its way to us. It threads through the entire intervening cosmos, and everything it passes leaves its mark. This is the trick. This is the whole beautiful idea. The quasar is a lamp, a spotlight shining through the universe, and the galaxies in front of it are not seen directly, but read by the shadows they cast in that light. Because when the quasar's light passes through the gas around a distant galaxy, the gas drinks in certain very specific colors of that light. Each kind of atom in the gas absorbs its own particular shades, leaving narrow, dark gaps in the rainbow of the quasar's light, like missing notes in a song. And one kind of atom in particular, a form of magnesium that has lost a single electron, leaves a signature so distinctive, a pair of dark lines sitting close together in the spectrum, that astronomers can recognize it instantly. Wherever they see that pair of magnesium shadows in a quasar's light, they know that somewhere along the path between that quasar and us, the light passed through the gas surrounding a galaxy. A galaxy they cannot see. A galaxy revealed only by the shadow it cast on the lamp behind it. Let that settle, because it is genuinely remarkable. We cannot see the galaxy itself. It is too faint, too far. But we can see the bright quasar behind it, and we can read, in the quasar's light, the dark fingerprint of the gas that the galaxy carries with it. Each magnesium shadow is a flag planted in the dark, saying, "Here is a galaxy you cannot otherwise find. Here, at this exact distance along this exact line of sight, marked by the shadow it cast on the lamp shining through it from behind, we map the invisible by the marks it leaves on the visible. We find the dark galaxies by the bright quasars they stand in front of. And so a researcher, looking through the records of a great survey of the sky, a survey that had measured the light of well over 100,000 distant quasars, began to collect these shadows. Thousands upon thousands of magnesium fingerprints, each one marking the position of a galaxy hidden in the deep cosmos, each one placed at a measured distance by the reddening of the light that carried it. Imagine the patience of this. Sifting through the absorbed light of 100,000 lighthouses, reading the dark notes missing from each one, and slowly, point by point, building a map of galaxies that no eye could ever see directly. A map of the invisible, drawn entirely from shadows. And then, on that map, a shape appeared. It was not looked for. Nobody set out to find it. It emerged the way a face emerges from a crowd you were not searching, suddenly present where a moment before there had been only scattered points. Among all those shadow galaxies, plotted at their measured distances across a particular region of the deep sky, there ran a curve, a great sweeping arc of them, dozens of galaxies marked by their magnesium shadows, all sitting at very nearly the same enormous distance from us, all bending together along a single graceful line that traced across the dark like the curve of an enormous unseen wave. They called it the giant arc, and once you've understood how it was found, the next thing to understand is its size. So let us approach the size slowly, the way you would approach something too large to take in all at once, letting your eyes adjust to it piece by piece. The giant arc sits roughly 9 billion light years away from us. Hold that distance first, before the size, because the distance is its own kind of staggering, 9 billion light years, which means, by everything we learned in the last part, that the light revealing this structure left it 9 billion years ago. The shadows we are reading were cast 9 billion years in the past. When that light began its journey toward us, the Earth did not exist. The Sun did not exist. There was no solar system, no planets, no field, no room, no breath. The cosmos itself was a very different place. Younger, smaller, more crowded, barely more than a third of its present age. The light that draws the giant arc on our map set out across the dark when the universe was a child, and it has been traveling ever since, all those billions of years, only to arrive now, in our time, and fall into the instruments of people who would finally read what it carried. So that is the distance, 9 billion light years. The structure as it was when the universe was young. Now, slowly, the size. The giant arc, this curving chain of galaxies hanging in the ancient dark, stretches across roughly 3.3 billion light years from one end to the other. Let that number sit there for a moment, alone, before we try to feel it. 3.3 billion light years. Now, remember what we carried into this part. Remember the ceiling, the homogeneity scale, the size at which the universe is supposed to surrender its lumpiness and go smooth, the limit above which no single structure should be able to grow, sits at a few 100 million light years. That was the rule, that was the promise. Lift your eyes a few 100 million light years and the field goes even green. And here is a single structure, one connected curve of galaxies, stretching 3.3 billion light years across. Not a few 100 million, not a little past the ceiling, many times past it. You could lay the entire homogeneity scale across the giant arc, again and again and again, and still not reach the far end. The thing that was supposed to be impossible is not just barely possible. It is enormous. It towers over the limit it was never meant to cross. 3.3 billion light years. Not 3.3 million, not 300 million. 3.3 billion light-years of galaxies arranged into a single coherent curve, sitting in a universe that promised us, on its deepest principle, that nothing arranged this large should hold together as one shape. Try to feel the smallness of what it is made of, because that is where the awe truly lives. Each point in that arc is a galaxy, and we learned, in the last part, that a single galaxy is a grain of sand against the vastness, a breath against a lifetime, a thing so small that against the whole cosmos it nearly disappears. The giant arc is made of these grains, these breaths, these nearly invisible specks, and yet there are enough of them, arranged with such reach, that together they sweep across a span your mind cannot fold itself around. It is as if you had gathered grains of sand from across an entire continent and found, impossibly, that they had arranged themselves into a single perfect curve thousands of miles long, a deliberate shape written across the whole face of the world. That is the scale of the strangeness. Grains of sand, each one a galaxy of hundreds of billions of stars, lined up into a curve so vast that the light crossing it from end to end would take billions of years to make the trip. And this is the thing that troubles the quiet ones. By the cosmological principle, the great gentle faith we built our maps upon, this curve should not be here. At this size, the universe was supposed to be smooth, even, fair. The lumps were supposed to have dissolved long before you reached a scale this large. A structure spanning 3.3 billion light-years is a lump that refused to smooth out, a piece of texture that should have blurred into uniform green and did not, a feature so large that it presses hard against the edge of what our deepest assumption about the cosmos will allow. It is the dandelion that did not vanish when we lifted our eyes to the whole field. It is the place that is not the same as every other place. And if the universe is truly fair, truly even, truly without favorites at the largest scales, then this curve is a problem. A beautiful, troubling, patient problem, hanging 9 billion light-years away in the ancient dark, waiting all this time to be read. Now, you might reasonably reach for comfort here, and the comfort is real, so let us hold it honestly. One strange thing, found once, in one region of one survey, might not mean very much. The universe is unimaginably large, and across something so vast, rare arrangements are bound to happen now and then, the way that if you scatter enough grains of sand for long enough, a few of them will fall by pure chance into a shape that looks deliberate. Perhaps the giant arc is simply that, a rare accident, a coincidence of placement that our pattern-hungry minds have seized upon and named, the way we find faces in clouds and animals in the random scatter of stars. A single oddity, however large, can always be set aside as a fluke, a lonely exception that the great evenness of the universe can absorb without flinching. One strange giant in the dark need not overturn anything at all. That would be the comfortable conclusion. And, for a little while, it was available. A single curve, however vast, could be filed away as a curiosity, a strange but solitary thing, the kind of accident a big enough cosmos is allowed to make once. But here is where the comfort begins to thin, and I want to leave you with it tonight, gently, as the next small stone set upon the windowsill beside the first. Because the giant arc, this impossible curve in the ancient dark, did not stay alone. The same patient researcher, reading the same kind of shadows in the same deep region of the sky, would find something else nearby, another structure, another shape that should not be there, sitting in the same ancient neighborhood, at the same enormous distance, glimpsed at the same young age of the cosmos. Not far from the curve at all, in the same slice of the deep dark, a second giant was waiting. And two is a very different thing from one. One impossible structure is an accident. One is a fluke, a coincidence, a lonely exception the universe can shrug off. But two of them, side by side, in the same place, at the same time, both larger than the ceiling, both refusing to smooth out, both pressing against the same gentle faith from the same corner of the ancient sky, two begins to look less like an accident and more like a message. Two begins to ask whether the comfort we reached for was ever really ours to keep. We will go to the second one next. For now, rest with the first. 3.3 billion light-years of galaxies, curving through the dark 9 billion years in the past, larger than anything should be allowed to be. Let it hang there in your mind as you drift, vast and quiet and impossible, the curve that should not be there. And remember, as sleep begins to gather, that it was not alone. So we return to the dark, to the same deep region where the curve hangs, because something else is waiting there, and it is time to meet it. The discovery of the second structure was not a separate adventure with separate tools. It came from the same patient hands, reading the same kind of light, in nearly the same corner of the ancient sky. The researcher who had found the first curve, who had sifted through the shadows in the light of 100,000 distant lighthouses and watched a great arc emerge from the scatter, kept looking. That is what researchers do. They find one strange thing, and they do not simply set it on a shelf and walk away. They wonder if there might be more. They go back to the same dark, and they look harder, and they keep reading the shadows. And so, once again, the method was the same. The same distant quasars, those blazing beacons at the far edge of the visible universe, shining their light across billions of years toward our small world. The same gas drifting in front of them, drinking in its particular colors, leaving the same distinctive pair of magnesium shadows in the light, each shadow a flag planted in the dark to mark a galaxy that no eye could see directly. The same slow, painstaking work of plotting those shadow galaxies at their measured distances, point by careful point, building a map of the invisible from the marks it left on the visible. The same technique that had drawn the giant arc out of the dark was turned, once more, on the deep cosmos, and in nearly the same place, at nearly the same staggering distance, a second shape appeared on the map. This one was not a curve. This one was a ring. Where the first structure had swept across the dark in a great open arc, like the edge of a wave too vast to see whole, this second one closed upon itself, a loop, a nearly complete circle of shadow galaxies, hanging in the ancient cosmos, joined end to end into a single round shape. Imagine the difference. An arc is a piece of something, a fragment of a curve that trails off at both ends, and you might tell yourself it is only part of some larger sweep you cannot fully see. But a ring is complete. A ring is closed. A ring is a shape that has decided what it is, a loop that returns to where it began, and there is something about a closed circle that feels far harder to dismiss than an open curve. The mind looks at a ring and does not see a fragment. It sees an intention. It sees a shape that means to be a shape. They called it the Big Ring. And like the first structure, the next thing to understand about it is its size. So let us approach that size the way we approached the last one, slowly, letting our eyes adjust to it piece by piece. The Big Ring sits at very nearly the same distance as the giant arc, around 9 billion light years away from us. So everything we felt about that distance applies again, in full. The light that draws this ring on our maps left it some 9 billion years ago, when the Earth did not exist, when the Sun had not yet formed, when the cosmos itself was barely a third of its present age, young and crowded and very different from the patient old universe we live in now. The ring we are reading is the ring as it was in the childhood of everything, glimpsed across nearly the whole life of the universe by the slow arrival of its ancient light. Now the size itself, The Big Ring stretches across roughly 1.3 billion light-years from one side to the other. That is the diameter, the distance straight across the middle of the loop. Let that sit, the way we let the first number sit. 1.3 billion light-years across. And because it is a ring, a closed loop, it has another measurement that the arc did not, a measurement that somehow makes its vastness even harder to hold. The circumference. The distance you would travel if you set off along the ring itself and followed it all the way around, back to where you began. That distance comes to around 4 billion light-years. 4 billion light-years to walk the rim of this single shape, to trace the loop once around and return to your starting point. If you could somehow travel along the ring at the speed of light itself, never resting, never slowing, it would take you 4 billion years to complete the circle. 4 billion years simply to go around one structure once. And now, bring back the ceiling, because this is where the dread begins to gather, quietly, the way cold gathers in a room after the fire dies down. The homogeneity scale, the limit, the size at which the universe is supposed to surrender its lumpiness and go smooth and even and fair, a few 100 million light-years. That was the promise. And here is a ring 1.3 billion light-years across, with a rim stretching 4 billion light-years around. Once again, not a little past the ceiling, many times past it. You could lay the entire homogeneity scale across the diameter of this ring several times over and still not reach the other side. Another lump that refused to smooth out. Another shape that should have blurred into uniform green when we lifted our eyes high enough and did not. Another place that is not the same as every other place, in a universe that promised us, on its deepest faith, that no place would be special. But it is not the ring alone that should trouble us tonight. It is where the ring sits. Because the Big Ring is not in some distant, unrelated corner of the sky, far from the first strange shape, separated by such a gulf that the two might be treated as unconnected curiosities. No, the Big Ring hangs in nearly the same region of the deep sky as the giant arc, the same slice of the cosmos, the same enormous distance, so that we are seeing both of them at the same young age of the universe. They are close, they are neighbors. In a sky so vast that we measure its contents in billions of light years, these two forbidden giants sit within easy reach of one another, in the same ancient neighborhood, glimpsed in the same deep dark, found by the same hands, reading the same kind of light. Two structures, both larger than anything should be, both refusing to smooth out, both pressing against the same gentle faith, and both sitting side by side in the same corner of the early cosmos. Now let us be fair, because fairness is the whole spirit of this journey, and there is a comfortable answer waiting here, and we owe it our honest attention before we turn away from it. The universe is unimaginably large. We have spent 2 parts of this night learning just how large, learning that even a galaxy is a grain of sand against the whole, learning that the cosmos overflows every container we try to pour it into. And in something so vast, rare things are bound to happen. That is simply what vastness means. If you scatter enough grains of sand across a wide enough beach, then somewhere on that beach, by pure chance, a handful of them will fall into a shape that looks deliberate, a curve, even perhaps a rough circle. Not because anything arranged them, but because there are so many grains and so much beach that even the unlikely becomes inevitable somewhere. Given a universe this enormous, you should expect to find, here and there, arrangements that look like patterns, structures that seem too large or too orderly to be accidents, simply because there is so much room for accidents to occur. This is true. And it is the comfortable answer, and it is a good answer, and an honest mind has to hold it with real respect. A single strange structure, however vast, can always be set aside as a fluke, a rare roll of the cosmic dice. The universe is allowed its coincidences. The faith in evenness was always a statement about averages, about how things look on the whole, and a few odd lumps scattered here and there do not necessarily break it. One impossible curve in the dark could be filed away as a curiosity, and the great map could go on standing, only slightly troubled. That is true, and yet, now we have two impossible structures, not scattered across opposite ends of the sky where their nearness would mean nothing, but sitting together in the same region, at the same distance, at the same young age of the cosmos. And this changes things. This changes things in a way that is quiet but deep, the kind of change you feel in your chest before you can put it into words. Because the comfortable answer, the answer of flukes and coincidences and the inevitability of the rare, works well for one strange thing. It works because a single oddity, however large, is exactly what you would expect a vast universe to produce now and then. But two oddities, of forbidden size, sitting side by side in the same slice of the dark, is a much harder thing to wave away. The odds do not simply double, they strain. The story you tell yourself to stay comfortable begins to stretch thin, the way a single dandelion in a field is nothing to remark upon, but two dandelions growing right beside each other in the one spot you happen to look begins to make you wonder whether something about that patch of ground is different. Sit with that, because it is the heart of the unease, and this is the part of the night where the unease is allowed to deepen. One strange giant in the dark is an accident the universe can afford, but two together in the same place at the same time, both breaking the same rule from the same corner of the early cosmos, begins to feel less like an accident and more like a hint. A hint that we happen to look at exactly the spot where the universe was keeping something. A hint that this region is not like the other regions, which is precisely the thing the cosmological principle swore could not be true. A hint that the evenness we trusted, the fairness we built our maps upon, might have a seam in it, a place where the smooth fabric of the cosmos puckers and folds in a way our theories did not predict and cannot easily explain. And here is the deeper, colder thought, the one that sits at the very middle of our journey tonight. What if these are not two separate strange things at all? What if the giant arc and the big ring, so close together in the same ancient dark, are not two coincidences, but two pieces of one even larger pattern, a single vast arrangement of which we are only seeing fragments, the way you might glimpse two parts of an enormous shape through gaps in the clouds and slowly realize they belong to the same thing. If that was so, then the structure pressing against our deepest assumption would be larger still, more impossible still, and the seam in the fabric would be wider than either shape alone suggested. The two giants might be the visible edges of something we do not yet have the eyes to see whole. I am not telling you this is the answer. I am telling you it is now a question we cannot honestly avoid, because the moment there were two, the comfortable story stopped being quite enough. The moment there were two, the small stones on the windowsill stopped being curiosities and started being a pattern. And a pattern, in the one region of the sky we chose to study closely, in a universe that promised us no region would ever be special, is exactly the kind of thing that makes a careful mind grow very quiet. This is the middle of our night, and so this is where I let the unease sit at its deepest, before we begin, slowly, in the parts to come, to turn it back toward wonder. The map we drew was built on the faith that the universe is the same everywhere, that no place is special, that the field is even to the horizon and beyond. And we looked into the deep, ancient dark, into the childhood of the cosmos, and we found not one but two enormous shapes that should not be there, sitting together in the same small corner of the sky, refusing to smooth out, pressing in silent company against the gentle faith that holds our whole understanding upright. Maybe it is still a coincidence, even now, even with two. The universe is large enough that perhaps even this can be absorbed. We will weigh that possibility honestly, along with the others, before the night is through. But something has shifted, the comfort has thinned. The map we trusted is showing, in one deep corner of the ancient sky, the first faint sign that it might be missing something fundamental. Rest now, here at the middle of the dark, with the two giants hanging quietly in your mind, the curve and the ring, side by side, both impossible, both real, as far as we can tell, both waiting 9 billion years away for us to understand what they are trying to say. And in the next part, we will ask the hardest question of all, not what they are, but why structures this large should trouble us so deeply, and what it would mean, truly mean, if the ceiling we believed in was never really there. Let us slow down now, slow down further than we have all night. Because we have arrived at the hard center of the question, and it deserves to be approached gently, with patience, the way you would approach a deep pool of dark water, easing in rather than plunging. Breathe once, slowly, and let us ask the question we have been circling since the very first part. Not what these structures are, we have seen what they are. A curve and a ring, vast beyond comfortable imagining, hanging together in the ancient dark. The question now is harder and quieter than that. Why should their size trouble us so deeply? Why is bigness, of all things, a problem? The universe is enormous. Why should it disturb us to find something enormous inside it? To understand that, we have to understand something about how structure in the universe is built, and how long it takes, and how little time there has actually been. Here is the thing we rarely stop to consider. The universe has an age. It has not always existed. It began, as best we can tell, a finite time ago, and everything in it, every star, every galaxy, every great thread and sheet and cluster, has had only that finite stretch of time in which to come together. The cosmos is somewhere near 14 billion years old. That is a vast span by any human measure, longer than the mind can truly hold. But it is not infinite. It is a budget, a fixed allowance of time, and everything that has ever been built in the universe had to be built within it. And how does the universe build things? How does it gather scattered matter into stars and galaxies and the great structures between them? The answer is gravity, and gravity is patient, and gravity is slow. In the beginning, the matter of the cosmos was spread out very smoothly, almost perfectly evenly, with only the faintest whispers of unevenness, tiny ripples where some regions held a little more than others. And gravity went to work on those ripples. Where there was a little more matter, gravity pulled a little harder, drawing in more matter still, which pulled harder yet, slowly gathering the scattered material into denser and denser clumps. Over millions of years, those clumps became the seeds of galaxies. Over billions, they grew into galaxies, and the galaxies drifted together into groups, and the groups gathered into clusters, and the clusters strung themselves along the great threads of the cosmic web. This is how all structure forms, slowly, by gathering, by the patient inward pull of gravity, working across enormous stretches of time, drawing the scattered together into the assembled. But here is the crucial thing, the thing that makes our two giants such a problem. Gravity works at a finite pace. Its influence does not reach across the universe instantly. It spreads outward at a limited speed, the same ultimate speed that light travels, and not one bit faster. Nothing in the universe travels faster than that. No signal, no force, no influence of any kind. Which means that for two regions of space to gather together into a single connected structure, to feel one another's pull and draw into a common shape, there has to have been enough time for influence to travel between them. Gravity can only assemble what it has had time to reach. Do you feel where this is going? Do you feel the floor beginning, very softly, to flex? For matter to gather into a single coherent structure, the parts of that structure must have been in touch. They must have had time to feel each other's gravity, to respond to it, to be drawn into a common arrangement. And the time available is the age of the universe, and the speed at which influence can travel is the speed of light. So there is a limit, a hard and unforgiving limit, to how large any single connected structure can be. It can only be as large as gravity has had time to organize within the age of the cosmos. Reach past that size, and you are asking for the parts of a structure to have arranged themselves in concert across a distance that influence has not yet had time to cross. You are asking the left hand and the right hand to move together when no signal has ever been able to pass between them. This is the ceiling. This is what the homogeneity scale truly is, underneath the name. It is not an arbitrary rule someone wrote down. It is a consequence of time and speed and patience. It is the size beyond which gravity simply has not had the time, in all the billions of years the universe has existed, to gather matter into a single organized shape. Below that scale, structures can form because the parts have been in touch long enough to assemble. Above it, the universe is supposed to remain smooth and unorganized because nothing has had time to organize it. The smoothness at large scales is not a decoration. It is what you must find if the universe is the age we think it is, and if influence travels no faster than light, and if structure is built by gravity alone. And now lay our two giants against that ceiling. The giant arc, 3.3 billion light-years across. The Big Ring, 1.3 billion light-years wide, 4 billion around. And both of them seen not in the mature present universe, with all its 14 billion years behind it, but 9 billion light-years away, which means glimpsed when the cosmos was far younger, when there had been even less time for anything to assemble. We are not even looking at these structures as they might be today. We are looking at them as they were in the universe's youth, already enormous, already organized, already vast, in an era when there had been billions of years less time for gravity to do its slow gathering work. Sit with that, let it land properly, because this is the weight of the whole night. To build a single connected structure 3 billion light-years across, the matter at one end of it would have had to be in some kind of concert with the matter at the other end. But across 3 billion light-years, in a universe that young, there may simply not have been enough time for any influence to travel from one end to the other. The two ends could not have been in touch. They could not have felt each other's gravity. They could not have arranged themselves into a common shape, because the universe had not yet lived long enough for one end to even know the other was there. And yet there it is, a curve, a ring, shapes that look organized, coherent, deliberate, spanning distances that the cosmos, at that age, should not have had time to organize at all. This is the problem, not that the structures are large. The universe is full of large things. The problem is that they may be too large to have been built in the time available, in a universe that obeys the rules we believe it obeys. They are not just impressive, they sit at the edge of the possible, and perhaps a little beyond it. So let us lay out the stakes plainly as they can be laid, because this is the moment to be honest about what is at risk. If the cosmological principle is true, if the universe really is the same everywhere, smooth and even and fair at the largest scales, with no special places. If gravity is the patient, slow builder we believe it to be, working no faster than light across the finite age of the cosmos. If all of that is true, then structures the size of the giant arc and the Big Ring should be very nearly impossible. Not merely unlikely, not merely rare. They should sit so far out at the edge of probability that finding even one of them strains the theory, and finding two together in the same young corner of the sky strains it further still. In a universe that behaves the way we have long believed it behaves, these shapes should almost not be allowed to exist. And yet, as far as we can tell, they do. This is where the floor flexes underfoot. This is the cold, quiet center of the night, because we are left holding two things that do not fit together, and both of them feel solid. On one side, a principle, the deepest, gentlest, most humbling assumption in all of cosmology, the faith that no place is special, the foundation beneath nearly everything we believe about the origin and shape and fate of the universe. On the other side, two structures mapped patiently from the shadows of ancient light, sitting in the early dark, larger than that principle should permit. And they cannot both be entirely right as we currently understand them. Something has to give. Either the structures are not quite what they seem, or the principle is not quite as solid as we trusted, or our understanding of how the universe builds things has a gap in it we have not yet found. Return for a moment to where we began this whole journey. The field. The even green rolling out to the horizon, the same in every direction, no center, no edge, no favorite place. That was the picture, that was the faith. We told ourselves that if we could only lift our eyes high enough, all the lumps would smooth away and the cosmos would show us its great, even fairness. And now, having lifted our eyes as high as we know how, having peered into the deepest and most ancient dark our instruments can reach, we have found, in one corner of that field, something that did not smooth away, a shape that should not be there, a place that is not like the other places, the dandelion that refused to vanish, and then, beside it, a second one. Press on the assumption now. Press on it the way you would press on a board to see if it is sound. The cosmological principle says no place is special, but we looked closely at one region of the sky, and that region appears to hold not one but two structures of forbidden size. So either we were extraordinarily unlucky and happened to point our attention at the single strangest patch of an otherwise even cosmos, or the patch is genuinely special, which the principle forbids, or the principle itself, the gentle faith we built everything upon, describes a universe slightly different from the real one. Each of those possibilities costs something. Each of them asks us to give up a piece of the comfort we have carried for a century. And I want to be careful here, because it would be easy to let this curdle into fear, and fear is not what this is. We are not standing at the edge of disaster. The universe has not broken. Physics has not failed. Nothing about the cosmos has changed tonight, except how much of it we can see and how honestly we are willing to look. The giant arc and the Big Ring have been hanging in that dark for 9 billion years, indifferent to whether we notice them, indifferent to whether they trouble our theories. They are not a threat. They are a question. And a question is the most generous gift the universe can offer a curious mind. Because a question is an invitation to understand something we did not understand before. But it is a real question. We should not soften it into nothing. There is something genuinely unsettled here. A place where the smooth story we tell about the cosmos meets something it did not predict and cannot easily explain. The settled ground is not quite as settled as we believed. The map, in this one deep corner, may be wrong or incomplete, or drawn on an assumption that does not entirely hold. And to feel that, to feel the floor of settled physics flex gently beneath you, is not a failure. It is what it feels like to stand at the true edge of human knowledge, where the known fades into the unknown, where the things we are sure of give way to the things we are still trying to understand. So here we are, at the center of the dark, holding the hard question in open hands. Two structures that, by everything we believe, should not have had the time or the room to grow as large as they have grown. A ceiling that they cross, a principle they press against, a floor that flexes when we lean our weight on it. And so the final question of our night arrives, quietly, the last small stone set upon the windowsill beside the others. It is the question that everything from here flows toward. We have found something that should not be there. We have measured it. We have felt how it strains the rules. Now what? What does a careful, honest mind actually do with a thing that should not be there? Do we conclude that our way of seeing is flawed? That the shapes are tricks of how we looked? Do we decide they are real but rare? The universe is allowed coincidences, no matter how unlikely. Or do we begin, gently, to wonder whether the rules themselves need rewriting? Whether the great even field has a texture we never knew to look for? There are exactly 3 doors out of this room. 3 honest answers to the thing in the dark. And in the next part, we will open each one slowly and look inside and give each the fair and patient hearing it deserves, because the truth is that we do not yet know which door is the real one. Rest now, here at the deepest point of the night, with the question resting beside you. Something is out there that should not be there. The floor is flexing, softly, beneath the weight of it. And that flex is not a thing to fear. It is the feeling of standing exactly at the edge of what we know, in the moment before we decide which way to step. So here we stand, at the edge of what we know, with the thing in the dark before us, and 3 doors leading out of the room. And I want to walk you through each one slowly, gently, because this is the most honest part of our whole night together. This is the part where I do not get to tell you the answer, because no one knows the answer. This is the part where we practice the quiet courage of not knowing, of holding 3 real possibilities in open hands at once, without rushing to close our fingers around any single one. There is a kind of peace in that, if you let yourself feel it. The peace of an honest mind that has stopped pretending to be certain. Let us open the first door. Behind the first door is the gentlest possibility, and in some ways the most humbling, because it points not at the universe but at ourselves. Behind the first door is the chance that the structures are not really there at all, not as structures, not as single connected shapes. The chance that what we found is not a feature of the cosmos, but a feature of how we looked at it, an artifact of our method, a pattern our minds assembled out of scattered points that were never truly joined. To understand this door, you have to remember how these shapes were found. We did not photograph them. We did not see a glowing curve or a luminous ring hanging in the dark. We built them, point by point, from shadows. Thousands of magnesium fingerprints in the light of distant quasars, each one marking a galaxy we could not see directly, each one placed on a map at its measured distance. And then, looking at that map of scattered points, we noticed that some of them seemed to fall along a curve, and others seemed to fall along a ring. But here is the quiet danger in that. The points were always there, scattered through the dark. The shape is something we drew through them, and the human mind, for all its brilliance, is a relentless, tireless, almost helpless seeker of patterns. You know this about yourself, if you stop to think about it. You have looked at clouds and seen faces. You have looked at the random scatter of stars and seen hunters and bears and great winged birds, shapes that are not there at all, shapes your ancestors drew through the points, the way we drew a curve through the shadow galaxies. You have heard your name in the noise of a crowd, seen movement in the corner of a dark room that turned out to be nothing, found meaning in the random because finding meaning is what your mind is built to do. This is not a flaw, exactly. It is a gift that kept your ancestors alive, the ability to spot the pattern of a predator in the grass before it was too late. But it is a gift that does not switch off when we want it to. It runs all the time, finding shapes everywhere, including in places where there is no shape at all. So the first door asks a fair and searching question. When we look at a scatter of shadow galaxies and see a great arc, a great ring, are we seeing something the universe placed there? Or are we seeing the same ancient pattern hunger that draws faces in clouds, now turned upon the deep cosmos? Are these structures real, or are they constellations, shapes we have traced through unrelated points and then mistaken for things in themselves? It is a genuine possibility, and the researchers know it better than anyone, which is why they ran their findings through careful statistical tests, asking how likely it was that scattered points would fall into such shapes by chance, and finding the odds reassuringly small. But statistical tests rest on assumptions of their own, on how you define the region you are studying, on how you decide which points belong together and which do not. And an honest scientist holds the possibility open that somewhere in those choices, a shape was drawn that the universe never drew. Behind the first door is the mirror, the chance that the thing in the dark is partly a reflection of the mind that found it. We must hold that door open with respect, because it is the door that keeps us honest about ourselves. Now let us close it gently, without deciding, and open the second. Behind the second door, the structures are real, genuinely real. Single connected shapes, exactly as large as we measured, hanging in the ancient dark just as our maps suggest. The second door grants everything the first door doubted. The arc is an arc. The ring is a ring. They are out there, vast and coherent, and we have read them correctly. And then, behind the second door comes a single quiet word that changes everything. Rare. This is the door of the fluke, and it is more subtle than it first appears, so let us sit with it carefully. Remember what the cosmological principle actually claims. It does not claim that structures this large are forbidden, like a law of nature that nothing can break. It claims that they are extraordinarily unlikely, that in a smooth and even universe, built by patient gravity over finite time, you would almost never expect to find a structure this big. Almost never. But almost never is not never. And the universe is very, very large, and it has been around for a very, very long time, and across all that space and all that time, even the almost impossible has to happen somewhere, sometimes. Think of it this way. If you flip a coin 10 times, getting 10 heads in a row is unlikely, rare enough that you would be surprised to see it. But if 1 billion people each flip a coin 10 times, then somewhere in that billion, many of them will get 10 heads in a row, simply because there were so many tries. The rare thing becomes inevitable, not because the odds changed, but because the number of chances grew so vast. And the universe offers an almost unimaginable number of chances. So many regions of space, so many opportunities for matter to fall by pure chance into an arrangement that looks like a curve or a ring or some other shape that strains belief. The second door says, yes, these structures are real, and yes, they are wildly unlikely, and that is exactly why we should expect to find a few of them, somewhere, now and then. We happen to have found ours in this corner of the early sky, unlucky for the comfortable story, but not forbidden by it. This is the door that lets the old map stand, only slightly bent. It does not require us to rewrite any physics. It does not require us to abandon the cosmological principle. It only requires us to accept that we have stumbled onto one of the universe's rare coincidences, the long tail of probability finally showing its face, the 10 heads in a row that someone, somewhere, was always going to flip. And the honest difficulty with this door, the place where it strains, is the same difficulty we met in the middle of the night. One rare coincidence is easy to accept, but two side by side in the same region at the same age. The second door asks us to believe in not 10 heads in a row, but two of them, flipped by the same hand in the same corner of the sky. Possible, still possible. The universe is large enough that even this can be absorbed. But each additional coincidence we have to swallow makes the second door a little harder to walk through with full ease in our hearts. It remains a real door. It may well be the true one, but it asks us to keep calling unlikely things lucky, and at some point, an honest mind begins to wonder how much luck it is willing to assume before it starts looking for another explanation. So we hold the second door open too, with respect, and we do not close it, and we do not choose it. We turn, instead, to the third. Behind the third door is the largest possibility of all, and the most exhilarating, and in some quiet way the most frightening, because it does not point at our minds or at chance. It points at the rules themselves. Behind the third door, the structures are real, and they are not flukes, and the reason they trouble us is that our deepest assumption about the universe is incomplete. Behind the third door, the cosmological principle needs revising. The great even field is not as even as we believed. The universe, at the largest scales, is lumpier, stranger, more textured than our equations assume. Sit with how large that is. For roughly a century, the principle that no place is special has held up the entire structure of cosmology, the theories of how the universe began and grew and will end, all resting on the faith that the cosmos is smooth and fair when you zoom out far enough. The third door says that faith, while close to true, may not be entirely true, that there may be a scale, larger than we accounted for, at which the universe keeps some texture it was supposed to have surrendered. That structures, like the arc and the ring, are not violations of how the cosmos works, but signposts pointing toward how it actually works, a way of working we have not yet fully written down. Behind the third door, these shapes are not problems to be explained away. They are clues, evidence, the universe showing us, patiently, across 9 billion years of traveling light, that our map has a region we drew wrong, and inviting us to draw it better. And what might the better map look like? We do not fully know, and that is the honest truth. But there are gentle hints, possibilities being explored with care. Perhaps these structures are echoes of something from the very early universe, ripples frozen into the arrangement of matter from the cosmos's first moments, patterns laid down before gravity ever began its slow gathering, so that they did not have to be assembled in the time available because they were there almost from the start. Perhaps the universe carries faint geometry from its birth that our smooth models leave out. Perhaps there are aspects of how matter spread and settled in the deep past that our equations approximate but do not capture exactly. The third door does not come with a finished answer painted on the other side. It comes with the possibility that the answer, when we find it, will be something genuinely new, a revision to our understanding deep enough that the textbooks of the future will describe the cosmos a little differently than the textbooks of today. That is the third door. And notice that it is not a door of failure. This is the thing I most want you to feel as the night softens toward its close. A theory bending is not a tragedy. A principle revealed to be incomplete is not a defeat. It is the very engine by which we have learned everything we have ever learned. Every time the universe has refused to fit our map, and we have had the courage to redraw the map rather than ignore the universe, we have understood the cosmos more truly than before. The third door, the most unsettling one, the one that flexes the floor hardest beneath us, may also be the most generous, because behind it lies the chance to know the universe better than any human ever has. 3 doors: the mirror, the dice, and the new map. Measurement and mind, rare chance, revised physics. And here is the hardest and most beautiful truth of our whole night. We do not know which one is real. We genuinely do not know. The structures are too far, the data still too thin, the questions still too open. It may be the first door, and we are seeing shapes in noise. It may be the second, and we have found the universe's rare coincidence twice over. It may be the third, and we are standing at the doorway of a deeper understanding, looking through into a cosmos stranger than the one we thought we lived in. And I want you to feel that not knowing, not as a frustration, but as a kind of peace. There is a quiet courage in holding all 3 doors open at once, in refusing to slam 2 of them shut just because uncertainty is uncomfortable. The scientists closest to this hold exactly that posture. They do not proclaim that physics is overturned. They do not dismiss the structures as illusions. They say, carefully, honestly, that they have found something they cannot easily explain, and that they are still working to understand which door is real. That is not weakness. That is the discipline of the honest mind, the willingness to live inside a question without forcing it prematurely closed. So tonight, we live inside the question too. We stand in the room with the thing in the dark, and we let all 3 doors stay open, and we feel the strange calm of admitting that we do not yet know. 3 billion light years of curve, a ring 4 billion around, hanging in the early dark, raising a question we cannot yet answer, behind 3 doors we cannot yet choose between. Rest there, in the not knowing. It is a more comfortable place than it sounds. In the next part, we will step back from the 3 doors entirely and ask a softer, wider question. Not which door is real, but what it means for us to stand before doors like these at all. What it has always meant across the long human story to be certain about the heavens and then to be gently, beautifully humbled. Let us step back now. Step back from the 3 doors, away from the curve and the ring, away from the cold edge of the unanswered question, and let us widen our view until we can see something larger than any single structure in the dark. Because there is a story behind this story, a story much older than the giant arc or the big ring, older than the survey that found them, older than the telescopes and the mathematics and the careful minds that read the shadows. It is the oldest story we have. It is the story of what it has always meant for creatures like us to look up at the heavens and believe we understood them, and then, gently, to be shown that we did not. Let your breath ease as we move into this part, because the dread we sat with in the middle of the night has done its work, and now we can let it soften. We are not going to find anything frightening here. We are going to find, instead, a kind of consolation woven through the whole long history of our species looking upward. Think of how it must have felt in the earliest days to be a person looking at the sky and feeling certain the earth beneath your feet did not move. Anyone could feel that. It was solid, steady, the one fixed and reliable thing in all of existence. And the sky turned above it, the sun rising and setting, the stars wheeling in their slow nightly circle, the moon waxing and waning in its patient rhythm. The conclusion was obvious, so obvious it barely needed, stating, "The earth sat still at the center of everything, and the heavens revolved around it." This was not foolishness. It was the honest reading of the evidence available to the senses. It fit everything anyone could observe. People built entire understandings of the cosmos upon it, careful and intricate and, for a very long time, completely satisfying. They were certain, and they had every reason to be. And then, slowly, the map was redrawn. Someone looked harder, measured more carefully. noticed that the wandering lights in the sky did not move quite the way a perfectly centered cosmos demanded, and proposed something that must have felt almost unbearable at the time: that the Earth was not still, that it moved, that it was not the center, but one body among others, circling the sun like the rest. Imagine how that landed. Imagine being asked to give up the solid certainty of standing still at the heart of creation, and to accept instead that the ground beneath you was hurtling through space, that your home was not the center of anything, that the whole comfortable arrangement you had inherited was simply wrong. It must have felt like a kind of falling, and yet it was true, and accepting it did not destroy us. It opened the universe wider than anyone had dared to imagine. The humbling was also a gift. And then it happened again. We accepted that the sun was the center, that we orbited it, that we had found our true and proper place at last. And then we looked harder still, and we learned that the sun was not the center either, that it was merely one star among the countless stars of our galaxy, drifting far out toward the edge of a great spinning wheel of light, nowhere near the middle of anything. Another certainty surrendered, another map redrawn, and then, more recently than you might think, we believed that our galaxy, that vast river of stars, was perhaps the whole of the universe, the entire contents of existence. And we looked harder, and we found that the faint smudges of light we had thought were clouds of gas within our galaxy were in fact other galaxies, whole separate islands of hundreds of billions of stars, scattered through a cosmos so much larger than we had imagined that the old picture simply shattered under the weight of the new. Again the map was wrong, again it was redrawn. Again the humbling was also an expansion, a deepening, a truer seeing. Do you notice the pattern? Do you feel the shape of it? Again and again, across the whole long history of our looking upward, we have arrived at certainty, built our maps, grown comfortable in our understanding, and then been shown, gently or otherwise, that the map was incomplete. And every single time, the redrawing did not diminish us, it enlarged us. Every certainty we surrendered into a larger and stranger and more wondrous universe than the one we had been clinging to. The Earth that lost its place at the center gained a place among the planets. The sun that lost its centrality gained a home among the stars. The galaxy that lost its claim to be everything gained billions of companions across an ocean of dark. Loss after loss, and yet, at the end of each loss, more. Always more. The universe has been, throughout our entire history, far larger and far richer than we had the courage to believe, and every humbling has only let us see a little more of how much there truly is. So now, return to where we have been tonight and feel how it fits into this ancient pattern. We have a principle, our deepest one, the faith that no place is special, that the universe is smooth and even and fair at the largest scales. It is our current certainty, our present map, the comfortable arrangement we have inherited and grown to trust. And we have found, in the deep dark, two shapes that may not fit it. Two structures that press against the map and ask whether it is complete. And if the third door turns out to be the real one, if the principle does need revising, if the universe is lumpier and stranger at the largest scales than our equations assume, then what we are living through is not some unprecedented catastrophe. It is the same thing that has happened to every generation of skywatchers who ever lived. It is our turn. It is simply our turn to discover that the map we inherited was incomplete, and to have the courage to redraw it, and to find, as every generation before us found, that the redrawing opens onto something larger than what we are leaving behind. This is the reframe I want to offer you here in the softening hours of the night. A theory bending is not a tragedy. It has never once been a tragedy. In all the long history of our looking up, it is the very engine of discovery, the mechanism by which everything we know has come to be known. Science is not a finished cathedral that cracks and crumbles whenever a new stone refuses to fit. Science is the ongoing, patient, humble act of redrawing the map whenever the territory turns out to be richer than the map allowed. The bending is not the failure of the work. The bending is the work. A principle that flexes under new evidence is not a broken principle. It is a living one. A principle doing exactly what good ideas are supposed to do, which is to yield gracefully when the universe shows us something they did not anticipate. And here is the deeper consolation, the one I most want you to carry with you towards sleep. The single best thing that can happen to a curious mind is for the universe to turn out to be stranger than expected. Think about what the alternative would be. Imagine a cosmos that held no surprises. A universe so perfectly captured by our current equations that every new observation merely confirmed what we already knew. A sky with nothing left to discover, every structure exactly where the map said it would be, every measurement falling precisely into the boxes we had prepared for it. That universe would be, in a quiet way, a closed one, a finished one. A place where wonder had nowhere left to go. The structures in the dark, the arc and the ring, whatever they finally turn out to be, are proof that we do not live in that closed and finished universe. They are proof that the cosmos still has things to show us, still holds questions we have not answered, still keeps texture and mystery in its deep and ancient corners, and that should not frighten us. That should fill us with the oldest and best feeling our species has ever known when it looks at the sky, the feeling of standing at the edge of the known, with the unknown stretching out ahead, vast and patient and waiting to be understood. Feel how the fear, if there was ever any fear, can dissolve into that. The floor that flexed beneath us in the middle of the night was never a sign of collapse. It was the feeling of being alive at the frontier, of living in a moment when the map is being questioned, which is the only kind of moment in which the map has ever been improved. There have been people throughout history who were lucky enough to be alive exactly when a great certainty was being gently overturned, when the sky was being redrawn beneath their feet. And though it must have felt unsettling in the living of it, we look back on those moments now as the most thrilling chapters in the whole story of human understanding. To be alive when a deep assumption is being tested is to be alive at one of the good moments. And whether or not the principle finally bends, whether the third door or the second or the first turns out to be the real one, we are alive in such a moment now, looking at shapes in the dark that our ancestors could never have seen, asking questions they could never have asked, standing a little further out at the edge of the known than anyone who came before us. There is something almost tender in that, when you let yourself feel it. We are such small and recent creatures, with our brief lives and our soft bodies, and our minds that find faces in clouds. And yet here we are, reading the shadows in 9 billion-year-old light, mapping the invisible from the marks it leaves on the visible, and finding, in the deep dark, structures so large they make us question the foundations of everything we believed. That we can do this at all is its own kind of miracle. That we can be wrong, and know that we might be wrong, and hold our uncertainty honestly, and keep looking anyway, refusing both the false comfort of premature certainty and the easy despair of giving up. This is the finest thing our species does. The not knowing is not a wound. It is an invitation. It is the universe leaving the door open and saying gently, "There is more here than you have understood. Come and see." And so uncertainty, which felt so heavy in the middle of the night, can become something almost weightless now, something closer to anticipation than to dread. We do not know what the arc and the ring truly are. We do not know whether our deepest principle will hold or bend. We do not know whether the textbooks of 100 years from now will describe a smooth universe or a lumpier, stranger one. But not knowing is not the same as being lost. Not knowing is where every discovery begins. Every answer we have ever found was once a thing we did not know, a question hanging open in the dark, waiting for someone patient enough and humble enough and curious enough to keep looking. The structures in the early cosmos are questions of exactly that kind. They are not the end of our understanding. They are the leading edge of it. The place where what we know is reaching out, tentatively, toward what we have yet to learn. So let the whole long story settle over you as the night grows late. We have always been certain, and we have always been humbled, and the humbling has always been a gift. The earth gave up the center and found the planets. The sun gave up the center and found the stars. The galaxy gave up being everything and found a universe of companions. And now, perhaps, our principle of perfect evenness may give up a little of its certainty, and if it does, we will find, as we have always found, that the cosmos on the other side of that surrender is larger and stranger and more beautiful than the one we are leaving behind. That is not a loss. That is the deepest pattern in the whole human story of looking up. We let go of a smaller universe again and again, and each time we are given a greater one in return. Rest with that now. Let the sentences slow and your thoughts slow with them. There is nothing here to fear. There is only a sky that still has things to show us, and a long line of humbled, wondering minds stretching back through all of history, of which you, lying here in the quiet dark, are the newest and the most recent. The map is being questioned, as it has been questioned so many times before. And in the questioning, as always, lies the promise of seeing more truly than we ever have. In the last part of our night, we will come home. All the way home, from the largest structures in existence back to this room, this breath, this small, warm pocket of dark where you are resting now. We will close the loop we opened at the very beginning, and we will let the great mystery in the sky become, in the end, something gentle enough to fall asleep beside. And now we come home, all the way home, back across the unthinkable distances we have traveled tonight, back from the deep and ancient dark where the great structures hang. Let us make that journey in reverse, slowly, gently, the way you would walk back through a house turning off the lights one by one. We came out, in the beginning, from this room, past the window, past the roof and the street and the curve of the horizon, out beyond the sun and the nearest stars and the great river of our galaxy, out across billions of light years of dark to the curve and the ring that should not be there. Now we turn around. Now we come back. Back from the structures 9 billion light years away, back across the gulf, back toward the small warm pocket of light where we began, back toward the breath, back toward the body, back toward you. Let your awareness settle inward as we travel. Feel once again the weight of yourself against whatever holds you. The mattress, the cushion, the floor, the patient pull of gravity doing its quiet work. The same gravity that gathers galaxies into clusters and clusters into the great threads of the cosmic web, here, now, gently holding you down into the place where you are resting. Feel the weight of the blanket, if there is one, the soft pressure of it across you, warm and familiar and close. Feel the air moving in and out of you, slow and easy. The simple rhythm that has carried you through every moment of your life without once asking for your attention. The room is around you. The dark is at the window, and you are here, small and warm and safe, at the end of a long journey through the largest things that exist, and we carry something back with us. We do not return empty-handed. We came out into the dark with a question, and we found, hanging in that dark, two enormous shapes that pressed against our deepest understanding, and now we bring the memory of them home. Let us hold that memory gently, one last time, and let us be honest about what we do and do not know, because honesty is what this whole night has been for. We still do not know what the giant arc and the big ring truly are. Let that be all right. Let it rest easy in you. We opened 3 doors, and we could not choose between them. And that is not a failure of the night. It is the truth of where we stand. Perhaps the structures are partly a trick of how we looked. Shapes our pattern-hungry minds drew through scattered points, the way we have always drawn shapes through the stars. Perhaps they are real but rare. The universe is allowed coincidences, the long odds finally coming up, twice, in the same quiet corner of the early sky. Or perhaps they are something more, signposts pointing toward a cosmos lumpier and stranger than our equations assumed, the first faint evidence that our deepest principle needs gently revising. We do not know which. Tonight, no one knows which. The structures are too far, the light too old, the questions still too open. And here is the thing I most want to leave with you, the thing this whole long journey has been quietly building toward, that not knowing is allowed to be beautiful. It does not have to frighten you. It does not have to sit heavy on your chest as you drift towards sleep. The mystery is not a threat. The mystery is a gift. The same gift the sky has been offering our species since the first of us looked up and wondered. There is something out there in the deep dark that we do not yet understand. And rather than keeping you awake, let that be the very thing that lets you rest, because it means the universe is still wide, still generous, still holding wonders it has not yet shown us. You are falling asleep in a cosmos that still has secrets. That is a softer and lovelier thing than falling asleep in a universe where everything was already known. Remember how we began. I asked you to imagine looking out into the dark between the galaxies, into that deep and ancient blackness, past the window, past the world. At the start of the night, that dark might have felt empty, or cold, or vast, in a way that made you feel small and alone. But look out into it now, in your mind, one more time, and feel how it has changed. It is the same dark, the same blackness between the galaxies. But now you know that it is not empty at all. It is threaded with structure, woven with shapes so large they strain belief, carrying ancient light across billions of years toward anyone patient enough to read it. The dark is full. The dark is rich. The dark is keeping mysteries that the brightest minds of our time are still working, gently and humbly, to understand. The emptiness you might have feared turns out to be one of the most interesting places in all of existence. And you are connected to it, made of the same matter, lit by the same physics, held by the same gravity, a small, warm part of the very thing you have spent the night contemplating. That is the loop closing. That is the dark transformed. The same blackness that might have felt lonely at the start now feels, perhaps, like company, like a vast, quiet presence that has been there all along, full of shapes and questions and light, indifferent to us in the gentlest possible way, and yet somehow, because we can look at it and wonder, ours. Let the wondering soften now. We have done the hard thinking. We have stood at the edge, felt the floor flex, opened the 3 doors, walked the long human story of being humbled by the sky. All of that work is done. You can set it down. You do not have to solve anything tonight. The structures will still be there tomorrow, and the careful minds will still be working, and the answer, whatever it is, will come in its own time, long after you have slept and woken and slept again. None of it needs you to stay awake. None of it needs you to worry. The universe has been holding these questions for 9 billion years. It can hold them through one more night while you rest. So let your thoughts begin to slow. Let the great distances fold back down to the size of this room. The arc and the ring can stay out there in the dark, vast and patient, while you grow small and warm and quiet here. You do not have to carry them. You only have to remember, as you drift, that you live in a universe still full of wonder, and that this is a good thing, a soft thing, a thing to rest easy beside. Feel your breath again, slower now, the air moving in and out, the simple tide of it. Feel the weight of you against the bed, heavy now, settled, held. Feel the dark at the window, no longer empty, full and quiet and kind. There is a curve in the deep sky that should not be there. There is a ring beside it. We do not know what they are, and that is all right. That is wonderful even. The not knowing is where everything begins. You do not have to understand it tonight. You only have to rest. The universe is vast and strange, and full of shapes we have not yet explained, and you are a small, warm part of it, breathing softly in the dark, held by the same gravity that holds the galaxies. Let the questions stay out there among the stars. Let your body grow heavy. Let your breath grow slow. The dark is full. The dark is gentle. The dark is keeping its secrets, and they will wait. You are safe. You are small. You are held. Sleep now. The sky will keep its mysteries, and you will keep your rest. Dream of the dark between the galaxies, and how it was never empty after all.